So, in the series of learning C++ programming language, in the previous video we have discussed history of C++. In this video we will talk about basic structure of a C++ program, right. So, before writing the program, you should have basic idea about the structure of a C++ program, and it is almost same as the structure of a C program, right. That video you can check out in the side button, right. And these are the sections in which which basic structure of a C++ program can have, but these sections are not compulsory. All these sections, only 2 sections or 3 sections are compulsory to include in your program. All other sections are optional. So, what are optional sections, what are compulsory sections, we will discuss in detail in this video with the help of a program as well. I will show you the program on my laptop, which will include all these sections, right. So, I will show you practical also. So, these are some sections a C++ program can have, and I will not discuss in detail those sections which are same as in structure of a C program, because I think better not to waste time on those sections explaining again. In that video I have explained these sections in detail. So, you can check out that video that I have put in the side button, right, or you can check out in the description box. I will put the complete playlist link, C complete playlist. You can go to that playlist and you can check out the video. Now, at starting, I think 3rd or 4th video is about structure of a C program. So, you go to that video first, then come to this video. So, now the first section is documentation section. In this section, same as this C program also have this section. Here we generally include the information about that program, like author, who is the author of that program, the date of return of that program, and what this program is all about, right. Only by seeing the documentation section one can identify this program is all about what. If I have written a program, right, like author is Jenny, date is this, and this program is program to add 2 numbers. So, if you will see that program you will not see the program, actual program, you just see the documentation section, and you will know who is author of this program, the date of return of this program, and what this program is all about. So, it will increase the readability and maintainability, right. So, it is completely optional, you do not need to include this section, it is not compulsory, and here we write the information in the comment box, single line comment, and this is multiple line comment. This is single line comment, here we can multiple lines, and the last of this line you can include this is multiple line comment. All these, the lines you will write in these comment, after these comments, that would not be considered by the compiler as line of code, that would not be compiled, that would not be converted into object code, right. That would completely be completely omitted by the compiler, right. So, now the next section is link section. So, here we have 2 parts in C++ program, header and namespace. Generally in C we have, like we know, header file hash include stdio.h, right. Here also in previous version of C we include something like this, iostream, we used to include iostream.h, this thing, hash include, we call it as a header file. It contains the you can say the declaration or the prototype of all the built-in functions and the constant and some objects, everything, prototype of those built-in things, right. So, header files, or you can say now modern compilers support what, iostream, the known .h version. We do not write .h now, we generally wrote these things before C++ got standardized, right. Modern compilers do not support these things, these files, .h files, after C++ got standardized, right. The concept of namespaces comes, and everything they group into namespaces, right. Namespace means it's, you can say, just a container for identifiers. Identifier means just a name of any function or object or any constant, these things are identifiers. So, namespace is just a container, or you can say group of elements, objects, classes, functions. In namespaces we have definition of these things, declaration of these things, object, classes, function, constant, these things, right. So, after C++ got standardized, we use this thing, only this is known as header, not header file, we call it as a simply header, iostream header, and in this header we have 8 stream object, declaration of 8 stream objects, as well as I stream objects, O stream objects, that are also there in this IO stream, input output stream, right. So the object we use C in, C out, for error CERR we use, ANDL we use, all these objects are declared in this header, but under a namespace named STD, right. I'll show you this header on my laptop, what is there in this header. In this header, there is a code, there will be a code in this header, and it's like a namespace, it's like, you can say it's a group, STD namespace, and here we have these things, whatever we use, like the object C in, C out and all these things. So after C++ got standardized, they group these things under namespaces. And why namespaces? To resolve or to resolve the name conflicts. Now what is this name conflict? See. So I guess this is clear why we include these header, right. Generally in a program, we use some built-in functions or classes or objects or constant, right. C in, C out, these are considered as object, these are built-in. Those functions or classes, these are defined in library files. So to include these things in your program, you have to give an appropriate header, right, according to your requirement. So if you want to use input output related things, the objects or functions, you use which header? IO string, right. So that is why you need to include these headers, right. And before, this is not a standard header now, right. Only Turbo C++ compiler I think support this thing, but VS Code don't support this thing. Modern compiler don't support this .h version. They support without non.h version. See, before these C out, C in, these were defined in iostream.h, but after C++ got standardized, these things C in, C out and many other things were moved into a namespace named STD, and this non.h version, these are considered as standard header, standard version, standard header, right. So that's why nowadays we include this thing, not .h. So now under this, obviously everything is grouped in namespaces. So one namespace is standard namespace, that is STD. There we have all these C in, C out, ANDL, these objects, declaration of these objects, stream objects, right. That is why generally we write down a program using namespace STD. So that is part of link section. Here we use these headers and appropriate namespace, right. So in link section we have these headers. I think this is clear to you. And another thing, we have namespaces. Namespace, I think this is clear to you. And why we need this namespace, like don't worry, in detail I'll put a video about namespaces, right. I'll discuss more in namespace, and this video will be about namespaces, not a structure of a C program. I'll give you general basic idea, a brief idea of the headers and namespaces. So I have told you namespaces are used to resolve the name conflict. Same as like two child have same name, like maybe Rahul. No, I will not take Rahul. One comment I wrote, like one student named Aniket, he said, ma'am, every time you take Rahul, next time take my name. Okay, consider Aniket is a student. Aniket is a student in one class in computer science also. Aniket is student in EC also, in CS and EC. So Aniket is there, right. Now when I call Aniket, who will respond? This or this? Both are standing, you can say, here only. So who will respond? I don't know, because there is ambiguity, right. If I say Aniket from CS, then he will respond to me. Aniket from EC, then he will respond to me. So by calling Aniket from CS, this will resolve the conflict. There is no conflict now, though no name conflict. Same happens in the case of programming, right. Now this will be considered, you can say, as a namespace. So we are identifying two same things by namespaces. If no namespace is there, this will create conflict, ambiguity in your program, right. So same, suppose we know that we cannot have in a same program two functions or two objects of same name, two classes of same name, right. But yeah, you can have same name if you resolve the conflict by using namespace concept, right? That I have told you in real life. You can take one example like this, right? Suppose in two library files we have same function named, any function name you can say, suppose sort or print, any function, and you have included both the header files in your program, right? Now whenever you call in your program, suppose we have a function named sort, this function sort, so this is in this header file also, this header file also, then compiler is going to get confused like which function to call, from this or from this. So to to resolve this ambiguity, we use the concept of namespaces. They introduced the concept of namespaces in programming language, right? So that same name of any function, object or classes can be used, right? Because namespace is different. So if name is same, then there would be no conflict like this. If I have, and you can create your own namespace also. How to create? Just write down this keyword namespace and the name of your namespace. Suppose I am taking NS1, namespace 1, just curly braces, and here suppose void sort, and just coding of this thing. Another namespace is there, namespace NS2. Here also we have void sort and definition of this, and that's it. No semicolon after namespace, right? So now whenever you call this sort, S-O-R-T, it will confuse the compiler which function to be called. So to resolve this thing, we write what? Yeah, obviously this is this in this namespace. So you write before this thing, you write the name of the namespace NS1 and scope resolution operator. And if you write NS2, scope resolution operator, and the function name sort, now that's fine. This line will call this function, this line will call this function. Although name is same, but no conflict is there. You have properly identified these by the name of their namespaces, NS1, NS2, scope resolution. That is why in programs generally we use using namespace std, or maybe you have written like std this cout, this kind of thing, or std this scope resolution operator cin. So namespaces just provide scope. The scope of this is within this namespace. The scope of this function is within this namespace, right? That is why it is known as scope resolution. So this function scope of this is within this namespace. The scope of this function is in this namespace, right? I hope now basic idea about namespace is clear to you, right? What is namespace and why we use this thing to resolve name conflict basically, right? So in detail we will see the namespaces concept in a separate video. So in link section we have headers and namespaces. So that is all about this link section. Then definition section we have macro definition, right? Hash, define, these kind of things you can take. This is same as in C. Global declaration also, globally if you want to declare any variable, you can write down, suppose in your program you have 5 or 10 functions and all these functions are using 2 variables A and B. So rather than declaring these 2 variables again and again in 10 functions, right, same variable A, B, you just declare those variables as globally. So all the functions can use those variables globally, right. And after that, see, this section is optional, link section, this is compulsory. You have to include this in your program. Definition, this is also compulsory, optional definition. Global declaration, this is also optional. If you don't want to use any global variable, it's up to you. So this is also optional. Class, this is also optional. Without using class also you can write down a program. Simply that I have discussed, simply print hello world. Nothing you have to include. Just header, IOStream, using namespace std. Although it's a bad practice to include using namespace std. Why so? That also we'll discuss in a separate video. After that, just main function, then cout, hello world. That's it. No classes there. So this is also optional. Main function, this is compulsory. So these 2 are compulsory to include in your program. All others are optional. According to your requirement, you need to add. Now in class, if you want to create any class, just class, how to write? Class, your class name, suppose I am writing my class. So first should be capital, and then every word would be separated by capital letters, like my, after next word is class, so C would be capital, otherwise all the letters would be then small, right. So my class, and how to define this thing, here you can write down data members and your member function. Data members means the variables. Suppose I want to take to int a, one variable only, right, and member function is there, I want to use void display. So here only you will define this thing like cout and hello, that's it, right. So you will, or you need to specify here specifier, private, protected or public. Public means everybody can use these things, the variable and the function. So here we have the data members and the member function definition. If you don't want to define the function within the class, outside the class also you can define, but there you have to tell the compiler that this function is from this class. So the syntax would be different, class name, scope, resolution operator, and after that you have to do that thing, that also we can discuss. So this is what the next section, this is optional, class definition, there we have data members and definition of member function, that's it. Now comes to main function. This is compulsory, obviously. From where the execution would be started? From main function. First of all, control will go to main function, right. So main function is compulsory. Main, also there are two parts, like if you want to declare any local variable, you can declare those things, and the statements, executable statements, you can say the declaration part and executable part, right. That would be in main function, or any function you want to call, that also you will call in main function, right. You can call in main function, in any other function also you can call, but in main function also we call generally, right. Now, or classes, if there is any class, so object of that class also you will create in that main, right. Using that object we can access the members and functions of that class, right. Have to write down this thing, I will show you practical also. The main function is also important, compulsory. Next is subprogram, user defined functions. If there are any other user defined functions you have taken, then after main, generally after main we define those functions, right. So after main you will define those your user defined functions. There can be many number of user defined functions, right. So see, documentation link is something different from C program, the structure of a C program, because here we have concept of not header files, we call it is that header and namespaces. But this is same as structure of C program, definition is also same, global declaration is also same, main function is also same, and subprogram section is also same. So for detail explanation of these functions, you can refer to that video, right. If you got it from this video, then it is fine, no need to refer that video, right. Now I think let me just show you one example, then you will get a clear idea about these sections, right. So this is a program, right. I have already written this program. Let me just increase the font size, first.cpp. So see, this I have written documentation section, author Jayanti Khatri, written on 13 May 2022, program to demonstrate basic structure of a C++ program. The first line is single line comment, and these two lines are within multiple line comment. So this is documentation section, right. It will increase the readability and maintainability of the program. Like if any other one wants to maintain this program, want to read this program, want to understand this program, what this program is all about, then by looking at this only he or she can get the idea this program is all about what, right. Now next is link section. So here we have hash include iostream, this header iostream.h. Here I haven't included using namespace std, because I have told you this is a bad practice to include. Why? So that also we can discuss. Rather than including here, I am using std like this, std namespace scope resolution cout, std endl. What are the objects, stream objects which are in std namespace? If you want to use those objects, those objects in your program, then before using those objects you have to specify from which namespace these objects are. Otherwise this cout, if you don't write this std colon this std scope resolution and you simply write cout, then it will give error, right. Because now see, identifier cout is undefined. This would be considered as a normal in our program, we have those functions or objects or anything, but in this program we don't have any cout, the declaration of cout. So from where we are using this? From namespace std. So now it will not give error, right. So, I am using this thing rather than using namespace std, I am not writing that thing. So, see what is there in this IOStream, I haven't included .h because modern compiler do not support these files. Now, these known .h versions are considered as standard headers, right. So, you just press control and click on this IOStream. Standard IOStream objects are there in this file. See, you can read out this thing, and I just want to tell you where is this std namespace. See, namespace std, they have defined everything, they have grouped everything, whatever the functions or objects are there in this under this namespace. So, in this namespace std, and they are also including ostream and istream files also, right. So, in this std what we have, the object scene, cout, crr, clog, these objects we have basically 8 stream objects, the declaration of 8 stream objects, right. So, using namespace std, before using these objects in your program, you have to tell from which namespace these are. Before C++ got standardized, these are defined in iostream.h header file, but after that, after the standardization process, they have put everything in a namespace std. Within that iostream file, a namespace is there std, under that namespace these objects are there. So, now you have to tell that the file is iostream, the header is iostream and the namespace is std. Within that namespace these objects are cout, cin. So, if you want to use those objects, you have to include the namespace also. That is why we generally write using namespace std, right. So, that is it. I hope you got now the basic idea about this thing. Now, hash define this is what macro definition pi 3.1415, right. I have discussed macros in detail in the C playlist video, so you can check out those things. Now, this is global declaration, int r, a variable r is equal to 2 and void area, a function area, the prototype of that function I have given, right. So, this int r is equal to, this is global declaration of this variable r. You can use this r in any function in your program. Now, the class is my class is there. Here I have taken only one variable a, that is public, void display, and simply before using cout I am using std, before using endl I am using std because this endl is also in this namespace, this identifier is also in this namespace. I am just printing inside class, that is it. Right. Now, main function, in main function I have created object of this class, have to create object, name of the class and name of the object m. Now, how to access this a and this display function using the object. So, m, name of the object dot a. Now, I am assigning the value a 90 and I am just calling m dot display, right. Now, I am calling a function area also, another function is there which is not there in this class, separate function I have. So, area I am just calling, I have not defined this function, area function, right. Now, what I am printing, cout hello world from main function, and what I am printing m dot a, and that is it, whatever the value of a I am going to print. So, how to access using the object, and return 0, return 0 means successfully we have returned, means 0 would be returned to the operating system, int means it is expecting integer value. So, return 0 means successful termination of the program. We are telling the operating system that successfully we have terminated from the program. Now, this is subprogram section, right, user defined function. So, this is definition of user defined function, void area, float area variable I have taken, area is equal to pi r square, area of circle I am going to calculate. Now, just printing the area, that is it, right. So, here I am writing pi, so this is what macro. So, I have defined hash defined pi is equal to this thing. So, this pi would be replaced by this value before compilation start, right. So, now that is it, these all section we have. Let me just run this, I do not know it will work or not. Let me just run this and show you the output. Okay, what is the output error? P does not name a type. Okay, now see the output what you got. Let me just do this. See, this is the output inside class. First of all, it will print inside class, then 12.566 area, then hello from the main function, and then value 90, right. That is it. So, you can see here first control will go to the main function, then m.display. So, it will call first of all display. In display we have inside class, so that it will print. Then area it will call, then it will print area of the circle, then it will print hello world from main function, then it will print this line m.a value is 90. So, this is the program which is having all the sections, but all these sections are not compulsory. You have to include only link and main section, right. If you do not want to use again and again this std, cout, std, these things, you can simply write down here using namespace std. Now, whatever is there in std namespace, those things you can use in your program, right. Those would be included here, but I do not want to use all the things whatever is there in std. There are many things in std. I want to use only 2 to 3 things, cout, cin and endl, that is it. So, why to include this std, right. But you can include this thing, otherwise you can write using like std this and cout, that is also fine. Using std namespace, using std scope resolution endl, using std scope resolution cin, that is it, right. So, I hope the basic idea, basic structure of a C++ program is clear to you. About namespace, I will include a separate video, right. So, that is it for this video. See, do not worry about these namespaces and header. On these headers also we can upload a separate video. If you are confused about this thing, you can tell me in comment box. And on namespace, definitely I am going to upload a separate video. So, if you do not get these things, namespace and header, whatever I have told you in this link section, do not worry. In that video you will get it better. I hope now you have basic idea about the structure and what are in these sections. Overview of these, briefly you have the idea, right. So, now I will see you in the next video. Till then, bye bye, take care.